before we dive into the secret world of power, money, and the people who shape our future, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss our next deep dive documentary. Tycoons are the lifeblood of modern society. Relentless, competitive, and willing to risk everything to change the world. Inside the secret world of the mega rich are some of the most powerful people on the planet, creating billionaires almost daily. How do they build their fortunes? How do they protect them? And how is their money shaping the future of America and the world? This is the land of ambition. This is the land of risk. This is the land of the tycoon. Tycoons are, in many ways, the lifeblood of society. They're the most competitive people you will ever find. Inside the secret world of the mega rich are some of the most powerful people on the planet. This time, the United States new billionaires are being created really almost on a daily basis. How do these tycoons make their fortunes? They are calculated risk takers, willing to put everything out there. They're willing to lose everything. How do they hang on to them? These people have so much money because they haven't had to pay taxes. And how are they shaping the future of America and the world? Money is a form of political power. And right now, that power is entirely in private hands. And that's very, very dangerous. America, the richest country on earth. This is the land of the tycoon. We now have over 700 billionaires in America. Tycoons from social media to manufacturing definitely define the way that we work and all that we do. These men and women all began with a relentless desire to do something new and extraordinary. Every time there's a technological revolution, it throws up massive new amounts of wealth. Riding the wave of tech innovation is at the heart of the American tycoon story. They are calculated risk takers. They're willing to put everything out there. They're willing to lose everything, but they do it in a way that's targeted to get to a vision, an idea. And the richest man in America and the world is constantly in pursuit of new ideas. No one in the history of Forbes tracking billionaires has been worth as much as Elon Musk. Elon Musk risks everything each time he starts a new project. Elon Musk says he could only do this in the United States. Most other societies don't have that much wealth, and they don't put that wealth into the risk takers. Tesla is now the most valuable car company in the world, worth around $1 trillion. It kickstarted the electric vehicle revolution. Their idea of an electric car is something that doesn't look good, isn't fast, doesn't have high performance. We wanted to break the mold. Tesla makes less than 1 million cars a year, and yet it's worth more than the world's 9 largest car companies put together. I think what we've done here is, for the first time, created an electric car that you actually want to buy. But Tesla could so easily have been a different story. Instead of making Musk the world's richest man, he could have lost everything. Risk-taking is like the Promethean fire. You can get close and use some of it, but you can't use too much of it. Elon Musk has had moments when it was on the precipice of disaster. Everywhere you look, the color is red, and no one, it seems, can stop the bleeding. In 2008, the financial crisis meant the global economy was on the brink of collapse. Mayhem, carnage, a bloodbath, call it what you want. But what we saw on global stock markets today was ill-disguised panic. It became impossible for startup Tesla to raise capital. Elon Musk was broke. The most sensible thing would have been to sell. So Musk tweets that Tesla is only 3 days from bankruptcy, that he doesn't own a house, and that he has to borrow money just to keep the company afloat. That's how close they were to disaster. Musk took a huge risk and secured a $40 million loan and put it all into Tesla. It's extremely unusual for somebody to put their money on the line, risk bankruptcy, and make these projects work. He had the courage to do that, really introducing the first true mass market electric vehicle to the American market is a triumph that Detroit couldn't pull off. And now Detroit is following suit. There's a bit of a revenge of the nerd going on here with the amount of wealth that he has created. Elon Musk grew up in South Africa, which was to shape his desire to succeed at all costs. Elon Musk has a rather interesting background. His mother often said that she didn't know what was wrong with him as a child. He later revealed to us that he had Asperger's and he was bullied. At one point, some of the school kids pushed him down the stairs, and he ended up with a fair amount of injuries. I think part of his ego is based on the way he was treated as a child. He has a lot to prove. His ex-wife, Justine, had an incredibly difficult time with Elon. She said that he was the most obsessive person that she'd ever met. Music KN. And what Musk did next was obsession on a whole new level. He's built this space company that was started off as kind of seemed like a side hustle. You know, this extra thing he was doing that has become a major contractor or a major player. Human space flight is the reason that SpaceX was created, and we're currently honored to partner with NASA. Again, it was touch and go whether he'd lose everything. He had 3 failed launches and 1 rocket left to try to show that he could get them into space and supply the space station. 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, and launch of the SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket as NASA turns to the private sector to resupply the International Space Station. And the 4th one succeeded and was really a defining moment. Applause. You want to do projects that are inspiring and that make people excited about the future. Musk's out-of-the-box thinking has come under fire, though. His plan to rescue trapped children from a flooded cave in Thailand with a mini-sub built from rocket parts was a PR disaster, and his ideas for the future of car travel have run into problems. Some of his ideas, it's not certain how realistic they are. The boring project to create tunnels underground that cars could zoom through at incredible speeds would take an enormous amount of work. And I think a lot of people are not sure how feasible that really is. Musk's plan to send 1 million people to Mars by 2050 is also viewed with deep skepticism. The ideas that drive tycoons to wealth can also be the ideas that drive them to disaster. We should expect that he might remain a tycoon, but that he's spreading himself too thin and making too many risky bets at the same time. But whatever the future holds, Elon Musk is just the latest in a long line of American tycoons who've staked their all on the potential rewards of a new technology. To fully understand the role tycoons have played in the country's history, you have to return to the 19th century, to the pioneers of U.S. capitalism. Music, the Robert Barons, were a group of men who ran the industrialization of the United States. In those days, there weren't many rules constraining what they could do. Called the robber barons because of their ruthless behavior, they made their wealth from the new technology of the industrial age. The richest of them all was John D. Rockefeller, who made his fortune from oil. John D. Rockefeller was president at the creation of the oil business, and he rode that horse to become the biggest, richest man in the world in its time. Rockefeller's fortune was bigger than Bezos, bigger than Musk. It was enormous. In today's money, he is the tycoon who was the closest contender to being a trillionaire. In 1915, John D. Rockefeller could have paid off the national debt of the United States and still have been the richest man in the world. But like many U.S. tycoons, Rockefeller started out with nothing. His father was a never-do-well, was someone who was always was always hustling, but not necessarily doing it in the most legal of ways. Many billionaires are individuals who grew up on the wrong side of the tracks, and that motivation is what leads them to actually become people who transform the system and make a lot of money for themselves in the process. Going from rags to riches is the essence of what's called the American dream. The American dream, to me, means the ability to become wealthy. It provides the hope that drives people to work hard. You work your way up from nothing. You don't come from money. You don't come from family. And the idea that if you hustle enough, you can do anything. And one family from Arkansas defined the American dream. The Waltons are the richest family on earth, thanks to their stake in the retail chain Walmart. Founder Sam Walton's 3 surviving children have consistently been in the top 20 of Forbes' rich list. And Alice Walton, his youngest child, is worth $65 billion alone. Alice Walton is the richest woman in the United States. She inherited most of her money, but she also invested her money. She remains involved in many of the Walmart businesses. Sam Walton became the richest man in America in 1985, a position he held for 4 years. Sam Walton is the true rags to riches story. Mostly it's a matter of believing in our people, working with our people, and really trying to do everything we can to for their best interest, and they in turn come back and take care of our customers and take care of ourselves. Walmart now has around 11,000 stores worldwide and is the largest retailer across the globe. This retail giant started with a small shop in Arkansas, and once again, he made his fortune by using new technology. He was one of the first people who used computers to track his inventory. What allowed Walmarts to become so extremely successful was very tight control of inventory. So they would buy it at the last minute, sell it as quickly as possible, keep the goods moving. Once Walmart became a giant, they were able to push their suppliers and force their suppliers to sell at lower prices. He used glossy commercials to attract families. Walmart everyday low prices means everything. Everyday low prices really means something at Walmart. Every single item in the store every day. Passing all savings on to consumers to make Walmart the cheapest place to shop is always Walton's aim. He also reinvested profits, allowing the company to grow quickly. So Sam Walton became a cult figure. People saw Sam Walton as the embodiment of the American dream. And everyone in the company said, Mr. Walton, you've got to perform. We did it. Now you do it. But when Sam Walton died in 1992, some saw it as a turning point. Walmart became more of a big empty corporation after Sam Walton's passing. Instead of helping their communities, it came to look like Walmart was just making money from their communities. Walmart also attracted criticism for its working practices. So they tried, in a first sense, to make themselves more community friendly. They also tried to address a number of very damaging exposés about the mistreatment of their labor, the low wages they paid. Aware of this growing criticism, in 2008, Walmart decided to rebrand and give themselves a more caring image. They tried to raise their wages and do things to make Walmart a healthier, happier place for people to work. And they wanted to tell that story. The growth of Walmart keeps the Walton family the richest in the world, but their domination of the retail sector still provokes controversy. Fundamentally, when a Walmart comes to a town, Main Street dies. Who's going to compete with Walmart? The story of Walmart shows that size isn't everything. Tycoons getting too big and too powerful has been the great American dilemma since the time of robber barons. How to balance business success with the greater good. At its height, in the early 20th century, Rockefeller's Standard Oil controlled 90% of America's oil business. Monopolies meant that a few people were getting wealthy from it, not the vast majority of Americans. And so they're not living the American dream because companies have gotten too big and too powerful. It's clear that something needs to be done to create some rules of the road. The Sherman Anti-Rust Act back in 1890 allowed the government to dismantle monopolies. This included the breakup of Rockefeller's Standard Oil. Governments continued to regulate tycoons throughout the 20th century. But in 1981, a new president decided to change everything and set the tycoons free. I, Ronald Reagan, do solemnly swear that I will faithfully execute the office of President of the United States. So help me God. Reagan thought things were being overregulated, and that was stifling economic opportunity and profit. In the 1980s, Reagan undertook to repeal many of the limitations on wealth creation and business entrepreneurship in the United States. In this present crisis, government is not the solution to our problem. Government is the problem. Reagan cut taxes and deregulated markets, hoping the wealth created would improve everyone's standard of living. Reaganomics did create an updated version of the American dream. Reagan's policies actually increased inequality in the U.S. However, over 16 million jobs were created, and the booming economy made Americans feel good about themselves again. They were ready to buy houses, TVs, fridges, cars, and fast food. Oh, the ADS were great for billionaires. One of the truly great eras of prosperity in American history. It was a vision that Americans enthusiastically embraced. Reagan's policies also paved the way for a new type of tycoon, one who didn't actually make anything. Instead, he made his fortune by investing in other people's companies. Warren Buffett is an example of this new breed of tycoon who becomes immensely wealthy, not by building things, but by investing in things. By buying stakes in undervalued companies, Buffett, for a time, became the richest man in the world. Buffett is very good at reading kind of what sectors of this new market, this service economy, post-industrial economy, kind of what's going to grow and what's going to be profitable. Thanks to deregulation and a booming economy, Buffett made his first billions in the ADS. Instead of following the stock market, he studied financial reports from his office in Omaha looking for undervalued businesses. I've never had a computer in there. I've never had a calculator in there. And I've never had a stock ticker in there. He once spent $1 billion buying Coke shares, which then quadrupled in value over 4 years. Warren Buffett epitomizes the 1980s because from his little office in Omaha, Nebraska, he's now able to move capital around without limitations. Before the ADS, it wasn't possible to move money that way. I'm having the time of my life. I mean, I get to do every day exactly what I like to do with people who I love and who seem to like me pretty well. And it doesn't get any better than that. He now has thousands of followers for whom he invests money. They call him the Oracle of Omaha. Despite his huge wealth, his lifestyle remains modest in the extreme. Warren Buffett is interesting because he kind of bursts onto the scene at a time when the images of wealth are often flashy and, fur coats dripping with jewels. And Warren Buffett's not that at all. He is a folksy Midwesterner from Nebraska. Lives, not someone who flashes his wealth. Buffett still lives in the same house he bought more than 60 years ago. How would I improve my life? By having 10 houses around the globe. I mean, if I'd wanted to become, a superintendent of housing or something of the sort, I could have gone into that as a profession. But I do not want to manage 10 houses, and I really don't even want somebody else doing it for me. And I don't know why the hell I'd be happier. Nothing really changed in the Buffett household as Warren Buffett got richer. His kids found out that they were wealthy because they read about him in Forbes magazine. Now, as well as advocating for higher taxes on the rich, he's also sworn to give away most of his fortune before he dies. The 1980s was also the beginning of a new technological revolution, the digital age. It saw the birth of the tech tycoon, just as in the 19th century. Entirely new industries and sectors grew, and you have the arrival of the commercially available personal computer. Computers make possible things that before were not possible, and that includes the accumulation of enormous fortunes. Bill Gates saw the boom in home computers, but his genius was not to build them, but to write the software. Microsoft is the second most valuable company in the world and is worth around $2 trillion. Gates understood how technology would change our lives, foreseeing the impact of smartphones before most of us were even using a computer. Virtually everyone in 10 to 15 years' time will be able to carry around a wallet PC. You can have thousands of pictures of your children if you like. Easy to call up. You'll be able to receive messages, news bulletins. In fact, the machine over time will learn what you're interested in. An individual like Bill Gates is someone who sees a future before it's occurred. Their ideas help them to imagine a different kind of world, and they're investing and taking risks to try to get to that world. Gates wrote his first software program at the age of 13. He's a nerdy, brainy guy. So even growing up, he was a bookworm. They had a rule at the Gates house. No Bill, no more books at the dinner table. He's sort of one of these child genius type of kids. He dropped out of Harvard in 1975 to set up Microsoft. Gates was creating a company that was selling something that previously had been given away for free. Gates had a very different vision, and he was right. Software was a business. Gates' big break came in 1980 when IBM chose Microsoft software for their computers because it was user-friendly. Bill Gates' software made it possible for you and me to understand how to operate our computers. Microsoft did a deal with IBM that also allowed them to sell the same software to other computer companies, putting them ahead of the competition. He didn't always have the best software on the market. There were other programs that were better, but he knew how to get them out there. Like Rockefeller before him, who ran 90% of America's oil business. At its height, 90% of the world's PCs were running Windows, making Bill Gates America's youngest billionaire at the age of 31. One of the characteristics that Bill Gates has in common with a lot of other tycoons is he's intensely competitive. Part of Microsoft's success comes from that real intense, take no prisoners, we're going to, we want to win, we're not here to make friends. And it also is something that contributes to their getting in trouble with the Department of Justice. Applause. By 1998, when Bill Gates was the richest man in the world, worth $51 billion, Microsoft was being accused of illegally creating a monopoly in the same way the robber barons were in the 19th century. How many of you use a PC without Microsoft's operating system? Gentlemen, that's a monopoly. Because he bundled his own web browser, Internet Explorer, with Windows software, he was accused of crushing his rivals. Silicon Valley companies referred to Microsoft as the Death Star and, saw it as this sort of enemy of everything that was right and good. The antitrust controversy was most certainly the greatest obstacle in Bill Gates' Microsoft journey. His attitude under questioning was a PR disaster. And did you actually read what was in there? Gates is a very difficult person to get along with. He has a tendency to try to denigrate people that he's debating with. You're saying to me that there's more in there, and you're just reading me part of it? He did not take seriously the arguments of those who believed Microsoft was too big, who believed it was too predatory, who believed it was stifling innovation. So you were asking me about it without reading me the whole thing. He came to represent the example of the spoiled narcissistic leader, not the innovative entrepreneur. This Court ruling finds the company guilty of acting as a monopoly and stifling competition. Microsoft was ordered to split in two, but on appeal, the decision was reversed. Gates has since said he was naive back then and that he made some mistakes, even though Microsoft itself was not broken up in the way Standard Oil was. The gold was now tarnished. After the antitrust proceedings, Apple was cool, Microsoft wasn't. After the trial, Bill Gates devoted increasingly more time to charity work through the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. After the lawsuit, just like Rockefeller and Carnegie, Bill Gates went into philanthropy to deploy their great wealth for a greater good. And so the Gates started engaging in some smaller scale philanthropy in the late 90s, and then in the early 2000s founded their foundation, which became immediately the largest in the world. And the goal is by 2040 to eliminate this disease. So the scientists here are part of an incredible, exciting undertaking that will make malaria history. To date, the foundation has given away over $50 billion. Bill Gates has also recruited fellow billionaire Warren Buffett and others to make a pledge to give away their wealth as well. As a philanthropist, he's really had this second act that's very different. His foundation has done extraordinary work at scale, kind of these massive interventions in global health. Bill Gates' philanthropy is an example of how many tycoons are extending their reach into other areas of American life. And before you click away, think about this for 1 second. Everything you just watched, every empire, every fortune, every so-called richest person in history started with one moment where the world changed forever. And we're still not done. The craziest stories haven't even been told yet. If this video blew your mind even a little bit, destroy the like button. It tells YouTube you want more deep, insane stories like this, and it helps this channel reach people who love learning how the world really works. And if you're not subscribed yet, hit subscribe right now, because this channel isn't about random facts or boring history. It's about power, money, and the people who shaped civilization itself. And the next episode goes even deeper. We're talking bigger empires, crazier numbers, and stories so wild they sound fake but aren't. Turn on notifications so you don't miss it, because the next video makes everything you just saw look small. This is only the beginning.